Hello, friends and family. My name is Daniel Burrell,
and you're watching Diary of a Manic.
Hello, everybody. I'm wearing a hat today because my hair looks awful, and I don't want to show you guys. So, let's get started. Today I want to talk about Hollywood and mental illness, and how Hollywood seems to have this vendetta against mental illness, and how they vilify it. So, I did a little Google search, and I just searched mental illness in movies, and I think it was like 30 something came up, and then there were more to look at as well. And there was like Good Will Hunting and like Silver Linings Playbook, and like those ones are positive-ish portrayals of mental illness. But I want to talk about the ones that vilify mental illness and the not accurate whatsoever portrayals of mental illness. So, first off, I want to say, I think it's probably out already, but there's a movie coming out called Split, and it's about a man with dissociative personality disorder, but they call it split personality in Hollywood because they're like 15 years behind. So this guy has like 20 something personalities, and in the commercial they're like, but this personality is going to kill. And it's like, off. That's so silly. Like, you're more likely to get struck by lightning than be killed by someone with dissociative personality disorder, but you're just going right ahead, steaming along and making sure that everybody is afraid of mental illness. So when I did my Google search for mental illness, I found like Silence of the Lambs, which is like it's an extreme case because Hannibal Lecter is a pure psychopath. He eats people, obviously. Hannibal the cannibal, you know. And yeah, that's a very extreme case. It's very unlikely that a psychopath will murder you. It's more likely that a psychopath will be a dick to you when you're working for him in a job. So, yeah. I don't know why people are so afraid. There's also Psycho, which has Norman Bates as whatever he is. I'm not really sure. And there's Silver Linings Playbook, which I already mentioned as accurate. But it's not accurate. It's not... No. It's not accurate. It's ridiculous. The book was accurate. I read the Silver Linings Playbook novel, and it was incredible. It's one of my favorite books, and I would like to read it 100 times more before I die. But the movie shifted so much from the book that was so negative. They kind of took like the funny parts of mental illness and just capitalized on it. They were like, hey, these people are kind of crazy. Let's make them seem even crazier. But that's not what I wanted to see when I watched the movie. I read the book first, and then I watched the movie, and I expected like a level of respect, because they had a level of respect in the book, and they really told a story of how difficult it is to live with mental illness. And then in the movie it was just like, oh, we're crazy, oh, let's laugh together. But like, that's not what mental illness is, especially for people with bipolar. Like, I was originally diagnosed bipolar. I'm now unipolar depression, but I was originally diagnosed bipolar because they said they thought I was, and like, I researched it, and bipolar is a hell of a lot harder to live with than unipolar depression, because with bipolar you not only have the down lows, but you also have the up highs, and the up highs are even worse sometimes than the down lows, because oftentimes people, if they're in a manic state, they'll go out and buy vehicles, or they'll buy thousands of dollars worth of jewelry just because they're feeling great and they want to take a risk, or they might kill themselves because they take a risk, like jumping off a cliff. Like, let's go cliff jumping, even though I've never done cliff jumping, but I'm manic, so let's do it. And like, it's quite a bit more dangerous, and people don't really think about that side of it, and it didn't really show it in the movies, or in the movie for Silver Linings Playbook. Also, Fight Club. I've never seen Fight Club, and I apologize sincerely. I really wish I have seen Fight Club. I actually have it on my computer, but no, I have not seen it. But I know enough about it. The narrator is presumably schizophrenic. Like, I believe he is schizophrenic from what I can tell. And yeah, like, he has his psychosis and his delusional psychosis. Like, he sees things. Obviously, he sees Tyler Durden, and or the other way around, however it works. I haven't seen it, I'm sorry. So that is an accurate representation of schizophrenia, I believe. It's a little extreme again, but it's a movie. What the fuck are you expecting when it's like, it has to be pretty dramatized, you could say. It's kind of a funny story. It's another movie / book that they're actually a really good, accurate representation of mental illness in the world. Like, it's still really silly and really funny, but it's such an interesting book. It's so real, and it's just so heartbreaking at times, but it's really real. It's true to real life. The author spent time in the psychiatric ward of a hospital, and that's what he writes about. A teenager who spends some time in the psychiatric ward of a hospital because he wants to kill himself. And it's a good book. I would definitely recommend reading the book. If you're not a big reader, then please watch the movie. It has Zach Galifianakis in it. It's hilarious, and it's just so awesome. So, I don't want to talk about vilifying mental illness all day, because obviously Hollywood does it enough for us. Bazing! Sorry. I really love social media, because social media lets me, not only me, but it lets people take a stand. And I like to take a stand, particularly on Twitter, because my family isn't on Twitter, so I can say whatever the I want. But I like to take a stand and stand up for mental health, and I'll climb up on my soapbox and I'll say whatever is in my mind. And I call people out because there's a lot of racism, there's a lot of homophobia on Twitter, there's, well, everywhere. But I like to call people out, and I encourage you, the viewer, to also use social media as a platform to encourage people to talk about mental health. I'm using YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and Tumblr, all to talk about mental health, and I'm trying to normalize mental health. I don't want people to think of a schizophrenic and want to run away. I don't want people to think of a psychopath and think, oh my god, is he gonna kill me? That's not what I want. What I want is for these kind of lists not to exist. So I googled mental illness and murder because I was curious. I really wanted a statistic, but I didn't even look at statistics because I got so sidetracked, because I found a ranker list I don't know if you've ever been on Ranker, but I actually like Ranker. I visit their website often, but this this is just so quick to vilify mental illness, and it's just taking the wrong approach. So most of these guys have schizophrenia or borderline personality disorder. So there's Son of Sam. He was diagnosed as a paranoid schizophrenic, but that was after his murders. Ed Gein, inspiration for Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Norman Bates was also diagnosed as schizophrenic, but that was also after his murders. He spent the rest of his life in a psychiatric hospital. So what's the commonality with the serial killers on this list? Not all of them, but I think like all but one were diagnosed after their murders. They were diagnosed after they committed these crimes. They weren't diagnosed and then they got proper help and then they murdered people. No, they didn't get proper help in the first place. And that's what's wrong with it. That is what's wrong with it. That's the problem I have, is that people aren't allowing anybody to get proper mental health treatment. I pay $120 an hour to go see my psychologist, and I'm lucky I can afford that, as I said in my last video, but not everybody can afford that. I only get like 2 or 3 psychologist appointments a year covered, and that's at $120 an hour, which is cheap. So Canada has universal health care, and like I have a lot of Twitter people that I follow that are really encouraging Alberta to take a better look at mental health, and Canada's kind of getting there, but still like I was diagnosed ADD in like 1st or 2nd grade. I don't think I'm ADD or ADHD. I was diagnosed bipolar by my doctor, but like my psychologist, who's actually a psychologist, said, no, you're not bipolar, you're unipolar depression, you are major depressive disorder. And that made a lot more sense because I don't get manic, I just stay low. The problem being with this situation is most people just go see their doctors. Most people don't go see a doctor and then go see a psychologist. Most people don't have a psychiatrist for a family doctor because they're expensive as hell. But we need more availability for things like these. So I'm gonna stop my rant here because this video is getting a little long. But thanks for watching, guys. I'm going to continue on with this rant of not receiving mental health care, and I'm going to talk about what the detriments to your mental health can be and what it could lead to. So be sure to watch my next video because that will be exciting. Thanks for watching, guys, and have a great day.